Hello again. My name is Abraham Bartholomew Everest, the third. But my friends call me Abe. And welcome to the Ministry of Folktales and Folklore, Department of Rejected Folktales, Section M. It's my department. Oh, I should probably let you into a secret. You see, we don't exist. But this is where all of the folktales in the world, all of your trolls and your ogres and your princesses and your ghosts, this is where they're all invented. Not by me, by the clever people upstairs. They write all the folktales, and then if they're good enough and they're accepted, they go to the top floor, to the Department of Accepted Folktales. And if they're not good enough, then they come down here, to the basement, to my department, the Department of Rejected Folktales. And I'm their caretaker. It's my job to look after them. Make sure they don't accidentally get out into the world. In fact, I've just received this new one here. I need to go and put it in storage in Macclesfield. I tell you what, shall I give you a tour? Would you like to come and see inside? Come on, come with me. But don't tell anyone. Let's have a look here. So my department is Section M. So I'm in charge of all of the towns that begin with an M. Like, what do we have here? Mythelroyd in there. Lots of strange things in there. Oh, Manchester. It's a bit chaotic in there at the moment. Let's have a look. Here we are. Reference Section M. Macclesfield. Come on in. Oh, hello. So here we are. All of these objects, all of these things, they're all rejected folktales. They all have a story attached to them. Some of them, I think, are pretty fantastic. I don't know why they're down here, really. Like, what's this one over here? What do we have? The Macclesfield Mummy. Hand missing, do not open, right? Yeah. Or, don't know if you can see down here, the Macclesfield Rainbow is getting out of its box again. I'll just get that back in there. There we go. It's always trying to escape that one. What else have we got? Let me have a look. This one arrived quite recently. I don't know if you can see her. She's beautiful, isn't she? Rabbit Girl and the Search for Wonder. Can't believe that got rejected. Skateboard of the Princess. Some candlesticks here. The Wishing Candle. And the Candle of Wishes. Not very imaginative, is it? Let me put that down there. Oh, quite like this little one. Mr. Tootle's Turning Time Teller. I've no idea what that's about. I'll just see what's under here. Whoa. I don't know if you can see this. There's a campfire. And it's called The Witches of Shrigley Hall. In fact, witch's costume up there. All rejected. Oh. Shall I let you in on a secret? I like, every now and again, to take one of these objects and rewrite a fairy tale about it. See if I can sneak it upstairs without any of the clever clogs noticing. Hey, would you like to help me write a new folktale about this one? Let's see what it says. The Ivory Palace of Macclesfield Town. I've got an idea. I have here a little device, and it allows me to see everything that you type into the comments boxes. Oh, I can see some people have typed already. Hi, Abe. Hi. Fantastic. So we have a folktale about an ivory palace. What do we think it could be about? Maybe we could start with a genre. Would you like it to be a happy story, a magical story, a ghostly story, a romance? It's up to you. You type your ideas in, and I'll start writing them down, and we'll see what we can come up with. Any suggestions? Let's see what we have. And what about some characters? Who could live in an ivory palace in Macclesfield? A romantic, scary story. Okay. Scary, ghost, romantic, scary, ghost. Okay. Ghostly adventure. Wow. Ghostly adventure romance. A ghostly adventure romance. This sounds good already. I like it. A ghostly adventure romance with scary bits. And a good witch. A ghostly adventure romance with a scary bit and a good witch and a panda. Okay, a panda. A panda. And a silk prince. A silk prince. Okay, what about who lives in the palace? Should we a ghostly good witch? Should we put a ghostly good witch? Silk prince. A ghostly good witch. And where shall we set our tale? An explorer finds a palace. That's a nice idea. Should our story take place now or in the past? Or a bit of both? What do you think? Our ghostly adventure romance. It should take place in Macclesfield. Good. We're in the Macclesfield room. And a mad scientist. Okay. Mad scientist. I'm going to link that to good witch. In the past. A mad scientist in the past in Macclesfield. And a panda. A panda. Oh my goodness. How to do a panda. And the future. And the past. And the 1950s. Oh my goodness. I did ask the question, didn't I? The future, the past, and the 1950s. Okay. I think, before I get too panicked, that we should start our story. You can keep typing in suggestions as we go along, and I'll keep reading them, and I'll keep trying to add them in. Let's have a think. A ghostly adventure romance with a scary bit and a good witch, a panda, a silk prince, that takes place at Macclesfield with a mad scientist in the past, the future, and the 1950s. This is the story of the Ivory Palace. It is said that throughout time, people have seen a ghostly palace in Macclesfield. Now, this palace only appears at very certain times. Not dates or locations, but because of weather. When the moon is full in the sky and it is dark and there is snow on the ground and a mist rises. When your breath billows in clouds from your mouth, that is when the palace appears. It is a beautiful thing. It shimmers and sparkles like ivory, with delicate turrets and gentle roofs that slope, and tiny bells that hang all around it. Some people say that it looks oriental, and they think that it's something to do with the Silk Trail that leads from China to Macclesfield, that silk princes would travel along to sell their wares. And they would be greeted like royalty in the town of Macclesfield, and they would stay in special palaces built for them. But no one knows where this ghostly palace comes from, or how it appears and disappears in the night. In the 1920s, in Macclesfield Marketplace, a couple stood on Jordan's Gate and they looked down the hill. They could have sworn the shop they wanted to go to, Salter and Salters, was just on the left. But on this occasion, instead, they saw a ghostly palace. In 1857, 8 strong men with 8 horses were dragging a huge boulder from Oxford Street to West Park. They couldn't move the boulder. And then suddenly, the horses got scared and bolted and dragged it through the street. The men in the pub afterwards swore the horses had seen a palace appear right in front of them. And on Hibble Street, hundreds of years ago, a man pulling a cart of treacle crashed, and he swears he dodged a palace that appeared in the middle of the road. Now, there are 3 stories that fully reveal the magic of the Ivory Palace. The first story takes place in the 1970s. It's November. It is a cold and dark and wintry night. There is a moon in the sky, but it's surrounded by clouds. A train pulls into Macclesfield station. It is about 10 o'clock at night. And on this train, there is a young man, maybe in his 20s. And he has just come back from Manchester. He's been at a gig. He saw, what did you see in the 70s? He had been to see the Doors in Manchester, and he'd had an amazing time. And he stepped off the train into sludgy, wet snow. It was freezing, but he felt invincible. He pulled his sheepskin jacket tight around his neck. He stuffed his hands into his pockets, and he strutted down the street with the music of the gig still playing over in his ears. And then he decided to take a shortcut. He decided to cut between the two pubs opposite the station and climb the 108 steps. But as he got there, he noticed there was a mist coming out from the alleyway. But he felt invincible, so he climbed the steps anyway. The mist maybe up to his knees as he climbed each step. He started to see the shape of the church at the top, peeking through. And then he realized that it wasn't the church he was looking at. It was different. It was the Ivory Tower, the ornate, shimmering, ghostly palace. Now, at first he was nervous, but then he started to feel cool again and cocksure. He started to feel invincible. So he took a step closer and another step closer. He could see a large door, and he thought, I'm going to walk through that door. The steps he was on slowly turned to ivory. He was 3 steps from the door, and then it opened by itself. His face went as white as the tower. Inside, a figure appeared. She seemed to be floating on the mist, her hair black and long and dank, wearing a white robe, and she was looking straight at him. His heart beat faster as she looked at him and glided towards him. He took a step back. He slipped. He fell, tumbling down 108 steps. And then he landed on the floor. And when he woke up, the palace was gone. The woman was gone. He started to question if what he had seen was real. Go in. He wished he had gone in. And instead, he pulled his coat tight around him and he wandered off into the night. Ouch, ouch. Okay. Our second story of the palace takes place in the future. Just about a month into the future. 2 months. It is Christmas, the Christmas that hasn't happened yet. And this time, on Mill Street, it is 2 days before Christmas. And this time, the snow is beautiful. It is falling gently all around us. It's not late at night. It is maybe 4 o'clock. But the days are short at this time of year. The night comes early. But it's that kind of warm night that hugs you. On the street, we can see an old lady. And she is pulling a trolley behind her on wheels. And the light from the windows of the shops illuminate the beautiful crisp snow on the floor in front of her. She wears an old red scarf that keeps the wind at bay. Now she is feeling warm inside because her shopping basket is full of things, presents and food for the day. But her bones are aching. And she slowly walks through the streets that she has walked along her whole life. As she gets down to the corner by Mill Lane, she stops because she sees a shop that she has seen for 60 years. And every time she passes it, she remembers all of the shops it has been. A pharmacy, a haberdashery, a newsagent's. And something is different this time. From the alley beside the shop, she can see a shimmer, a faint glow. She turns the corner to have a look, and she cannot believe her eyes. There, in front of her, is a ghostly, shimmering palace. It is the most beautiful thing she has ever seen. She stands in silence, taking in all of its details, listening to the sound of the bells. And then from the corner of her eye, she sees a movement. Stood outside of the palace, just to the side of it, is the ghostly woman with the dank black hair, who seems to float on mist. But she is not looking at the old lady. She's looking at old posters on the wall. Posters for gigs and events and festivals, some torn. And her face is not filled with anger or fear. It is curiosity, confusion. The figure looks up and it drifts to the entrance of the alleyway. She is taking in all of the shops along the street. She is stood right next to the old lady who just stares and watches. And then after a moment, the ghostly figure turns to the lady and she smiles. And she just says, "I did it." The old lady looks at her and smiles back. And just as she is about to speak, the fog and the mist around them start to suck back into the door of the palace. The ghostly figure, her smile drops. She turns and she glides back into the palace as the old lady watches. The palace flickers and shimmers and disappears in front of the old lady. Her husband, isn't it? What else do we have? And now, the last part of this tale takes place in the 1950s. We are in West Park. There are two children. They are brother and sister, maybe 10, 12 years old. Their parents have left them there while they go shopping in the town for the day. And at first, the children loved it. They argued and they ran and they played. They climbed on the huge boulder. They ran through the museum, being scared by the panda. They played in the playground. They played hide and seek. And then they got bored. And they sat by the bowling green. They talked about whether or not their parents would let them go trick-or-treating this Halloween. It was only a week away. Their parents didn't really like that kind of American stuff. It was getting dark. The brother pointed as a mist started to appear along the floor by the museum. And that is when they saw it. Just around the back of the museum, the Ivory Palace appeared. Now they were both nervous, but neither of them wanted to show it to the other. Their names were Molly and Harry. Harry turned to Molly and he said, "I dare you. Go up to the Ivory Palace." Because they had heard about this story from their parents. "I dare you," said Harry to Molly, "to go inside the palace." Now Molly, she was scared. But she didn't want her brother to know that. So she took her brand new red scarf and she wrapped it tightly round her neck and she walked towards the palace. She started to tremble as she got closer to the door. But she told herself that she was brave. She told herself that she could do this. She told herself she didn't want her brother to think she was a scaredy cat. As she started to walk up the ivory steps, the door opened. And there stood a ghostly woman. Molly held her breath. Is it the red scarf? There was a puppy. And the woman smiled. A smile so beautiful and so welcoming that instantly Molly felt safe. And the woman beckoned her to come into the palace. She stepped inside, and it was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. Everything shimmered. Molly sat down, and the woman sat next to her. And Molly told the woman that she had heard of all the stories of the Ivory Palace. And she asked her if she was a ghost. And the woman smiled. And she said, stories are all about perspective. It depends who's telling them. Can I tell you my story? There are 2 secrets. And Molly smiled and said yes. And the woman said, the first secret is that I'm not really a ghost. I am a ghost in time. I am here and not here. You see, I come from a time before history. There was no town here when I lived. There were 3 hamlets, 3 small villages, all next to each other. And I lived in one of those villages with my husband. And we love each other more than anything else in the world. Except maybe our puppy called Cooper. But you see, now my husband was a farmer, but I was a great inventor. Some people said I was a mad scientist. Some people said I was a witch. You see, there was a woman in the neighboring village who was so jealous of my love that my husband and I had. She started to turn people against me. Where I would do something to help out, she would cry witch. And fear can be a powerful thing. And soon the villagers didn't trust me. Until one day, without warning, without trial, they came into our house in the middle of the night and they took me from our bed. They screamed witch. They put a scold's bridle around me, and they cast me into the river. Molly looked horrified, but the woman smiled. And she said, "Let me tell you my second secret. I really am a witch. I'm a good witch." And as they threw me into the river, I uttered an enchantment, or a curse, depending on who is telling the story. And it built this ivory palace of time around me. And this palace casts me through time, into the future, into the past. I blink and appear for just a few moments. Now I could choose to step out of that palace and let it disappear forever and live the rest of my life. But if I step back inside, maybe next time I'll reappear from where I belong and I will see my husband again. Molly looked at the lady and she said, "It's a sad story." And the good witch smiled. And she said, "Well, it is a story full of hope, because I am going to step back into my palace and keep searching." And as she said this, the mist started to suck back in through the doors. The good witch turned to Molly and said, "You need to leave now." And Molly said, "Can I come too? For adventures?" And the good witch said, "When I have found my way home, I will come back to you and tell you that I've done it. And then we can go on adventures together." Molly stepped from the palace. And as it started to disappear, the good witch said to her, "I will remember you by your red scarf." And with that, she blinked out of time. And that is the story of the Ivory Palace. Oh, I think we got everything in that. You know, people in Macclesfield still say that even to this day, when the snow is on the ground, the moon is in the air, and your breath makes clouds, if you look down an alleyway, you just might see the good witch and her ivory palace.
A misty night along Mill Street, a frosty night like I'd never seen, down an alleyway along the hill. I saw a palace in Macclesfield, an ivory palace of the softest white, an ivory palace on a frosty night. There are tales it appears when the moon is clear and the fog is as cold as ice.
Oh. Well, thank you very much for that, everybody. I am going to go and try and sneak this upstairs and see if we can get it into the accepted folktale department. Thank you very much for helping. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Right then, I'm going to sneak up there, make sure no one spots me, and see what I can do. Shh.